Hey, what's up y'all? It's Dr. Paul with a comic book haul video. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I have over 40 years experience collecting comics, and I share my experience and passion for comic collecting, investing, and conservation right here on the Liberty Hill Comics channel. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, tell a friend or an enemy about the channel, and subscribe. I got a little trip into Florida to visit with my in-laws over the holidays, and I took the opportunity to step into a few comic shops while I was there, and I wanted to share my picks with you here. I've already posted videos of my trips to Cloak and Dagger Comics, Famous Faces and Funnies, and Cliff's Books, so please check them out if you haven't yet. The next stop was a shop in South Daytona, Florida called World of Comics, another great little comic shop. We were greeted by the friendly and knowledgeable proprietor and learned that he had been in the comic shop business for over 40 years. Imagine, he's been through all the thick and thin of the comic busts and boom cycles. As with all great older comic shops that have accumulated a bunch of oddities over the years, walking in is a sensory overload. In addition to comics and books, he had toys, pop culture related merchandise, vintage videos, and a lot more. His comics were well organized despite everything being very tightly packed, and prices were very good for buyers. I found some of my best deals of my entire trip at World of Comics, so let's get into them. I'd like to start right here. Marvel and DC present #1, featuring the Uncanny X-Men and the New Teen Titans from December 1981. Written by the great Chris Claremont and illustrated incredibly by Walt Simonson, this collaboration between Marvel and DC is visually stunning, and it's a great read. Chris Claremont, of course, is the definitive writer on New X-Men, and he really respected the New Teen Titans of Marv Wolfman while giving them a bit of his own treatment. Throw in the Dark Phoenix, Darkseid, and the Terminator, and this book featured all of the hottest properties of the early 80s from both Marvel and DC. It features higher quality paper than standard comics from the early 80s and a stunning Walt Simonson wraparound cover. Seeing my favorite Marvel and DC teams interact together made this one of my favorite comics. I was 9 years old when this was published, and I purchased it off the rack, but my personal copy has long since seen better days. So I've been looking for a nice near mint copy for years. This comic book had a cover price of $2 at a time when normal comic books had a cover price of only 50 cents. So it was a big investment for 9-year-old me, but I think it was well worth it. Today they typically sell for $10 to $30 online in near mint, and there is a newsstand version as well that is a bit harder to come by, at least in high grades. I was thrilled to snag this copy for $8.99 in near mint condition. It will benefit from a press and should be a 9.4 to 9.6 candidate if I wanted to slab it. But I think this one is best enjoyed, so I plan to leave it exactly as it is. If you haven't read this, get a copy for yourself. Because it was co-published by Marvel and DC, it's one of those books that is not readily available digitally, so you need to go out and get yourself an analog copy to enjoy. Next up is a great comic published by Charlton in October 1973. E-Man #1 by Nicola Cutie and Joe Staton. If you're not familiar with E-Man, he's a great light-hearted superhero in the vein of Plastic Man, and this is his first appearance. He's actually a sentient packet of energy created during a supernova that is millions of years old. It's also the first appearance of his eventual girlfriend, Nova Kane, an exotic dancer working her way through college. Joe Staton, E-Man's co-creator, would later have a huge body of work in comics, mostly for DC. He's best known for stints on All-Star Comics, where he co-created The Huntress, Legion of Superheroes, Doom Patrol, Metal Men, and a long stint on Green Lantern, during which he co-created Kilowog and the Omega Men. His cartoonish style is brilliant, and it's best suited for a lighthearted character like E-Man. E-Man ran 10 issues in this original Charlton run, and each issue had a backup tale. This issue's backup is the Knight, a James Bond-esque fellow who works for chess. That's another corny acronym like Shield, or Man from U.N.C.L.E. This series is also notable for a number of backup John Byrne stories, Raj 2000, that was featured in issues 6, 7, 9, and 10. So if you're a JB fan and you want to see some of his pre-Marvel work, you want to hunt those issues down. There is a Modern Comics reprint with a 35-cent cover price. You want to avoid that if you're looking for the first printing. Raws of this book will set you back from $5 to $15 online, so I was happy to pick up a solid copy in the wild for $7.99. It will benefit from a clean and press if I ever get around to it, but again, this one is for pure entertainment. Joe Staton does own E-Man though, and if it ever did get developed for TV or movie, or even if we had a popular relaunch, there are only 85 universal copies in the CGC census, so I'm sure demand would very quickly outstrip supply. Next up is this gem, Shogun Warriors #1 from February 1979 by Doug Mensch and Herb Trimpe. This was published before I started reading comic books, but as a child I was fortunate enough to get the Poseidon Shogun Warrior one Christmas, and I played with that toy until the paint chipped off. This is the first appearance of the Shogun Warriors in comics, and from time to time we get rumors that they're being developed for either the small or the big screen, and prices spike on this book. This copy has a few spine ticks and could benefit from a press, but presents really well and hits me right in the nostalgia. High-grade raws are typically selling for $10 to $15 online, so I was happy to grab this copy for $5.99. There is also a Whitman variant that is in much lower supply, so for those of you that like to hunt like I do, set your targets on that one in high grade. Next up, I found The Thing, number 35, from May 1986 by Mike Carlin and Sam De La Rosa with Neary breakdowns. First appearance and origin of Ms. Marvel Sharon Ventura. I'm not sure if this character has long-term potential, but she played a significant role in Ben Grimm's comics and the Fantastic Four in the late 80s and early 90s. And she does derive her power from the Power Broker, who we've already seen in the MCU, and the FF are coming to the MCU. So I want to have a few copies of this book on hand if we see some significant price appreciation. High-grade raw copies of this today go for $20 to $30 online. So obviously I was thrilled with this $4.49 price tag for this near flawless copy. This is a really good minor key to hunt. I've found this book several times for less than $5, and I always grab them if they're in high grade. Lastly, I found this honey hole of Spectacular Spider-Man minor keys, 97, 98, 101, and 107. Issue 97 from December of 1984, written by Al Milgrom with interior art by Herb Trimpe and a Milgrom cover, features the first appearance of Jonathan Owen, who becomes the Spot in the next issue. It's also the first appearance of the Hermit. In case you've been living under a rock, the Spot is relevant because he's confirmed as the villain for the second movie in Sony's Spider-Verse franchise, voiced by Jason Schwartzman, who's slated to reprise the role in the third movie as well. High-grade raws for issue number 97 have been selling online for $10 to $15, with spikes as high as $30, with interest in the Spider-Verse driving sales. So I was thrilled with this direct market copy for $3.99. Issue number 98 here is the first appearance of the Spot. Near mint raws have been driven to $40 and up, with some sales of books with 9/8 potential selling for over $100 raw. And it's no wonder because the one-year average on a 9/8 slab is over $400, with many sales over $500 and a high water mark of $700 from the pandemic. Current fair market value on a 9/8 is $325 in our down market, but with a last sale of $400, so it's showing some life. This copy here is stunning, so for $5.99, back up the truck and buy as many copies as you can find at that price. Next issue is 101 with this John Byrne negative space cover from before negative space covers were a thing. It routinely fetches 35 to 70 bucks for high-grade raw copies online, and CGC 9/8 sell consistently for over 300 bucks. So this is a great acquisition for $4.99. And I really do love this cover. Lastly, in this little spectacular Spider-Man honey hole, I found issue number 107, the first appearance of the Sin Eater, which usually fetches $15 to $25 online, and I was able to grab for $4.99. If you enjoy the hunt, the first 3 issues have a newsstand, Mark Jewelers, and also Canadian price variant if you're really ambitious. This issue, number 107, has just the newsstand as far as I can tell. I already own copies of the first 3 books, so I'll likely be doing some cleaning and pressing and subbing copies to CGC for my doubles to pass them on to someone else and fund some Golden Age acquisitions for my personal collection. Well, that's it for today, and this video wraps up my comic book haul videos from my Florida trip. If you watched all 4 of my haul videos, what do you think was my best pickup or pickups? Please let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Until next time, happy hunting and take care of one another.